when we arrived at Nairobi, we found out there were still catching students and abducting them and bringing them
Even
back.
more friends of ours,
Exactly.
like Engineer Ahmed.
That was a little bit later, actually.
Later, yeah, I know. After some 4 or 5 years.
Exactly. But by then, even Bekama Yando, who spent 9 years in now
in prison,
yeah, he was on the run and he was caught at the border. Luckily, he was not caught by nationalist Oromo police officers. I don't know who, but they brought him back from the border. So we got there, we found out it was not safe. Then we had to continue the journey to Tanzania. And it was, I mean, the story is long. It was,
and for how many years have you stayed there in Tanzania?
3.5 years we stayed in refugee camps, building our own homes in the jungle, about 1,000 kilometers from the capital city.
I mean, from Dar es Salaam or Dodoma?
Dar es Salaam. Dodoma is like,
yeah, that's why both cities are that way. Dar es Salaam is, of course, the capital.
The commercial capital.
Yeah.
Dodoma is now the
political capital.
Yeah. And from Dodoma, it is about 500, 600. From Dar es Salaam, it is about 1,000 something kilometers. So we lived at the border, Burundi, Congo, Rwanda, and so in the Kigoma district. We lived there, but we didn't stay, and we had to keep fighting. We're only 3 Oromos actually in the whole 200,000 refugees. The word refugees actually, not political refugee, most of them, except some Rwandese. So we lived there. We built our own house, cut the trees, do the muds and all, and
this equatorial rainforest area.
Exactly, it was beautiful, but I mean, by then it was really harsh. But our spirit was very strong, and we knew that would end one day. We never gave up.
And do you believe now it ended?
It ended, and we got a scholarship. I got a scholarship to study in the Netherlands. That is how I ended up in the Netherlands, and then I did those masters because
in economics.
First, I did geoinformation science and Earth observation.
Okay.
And then second, I did another master, which was health economics, policy and law. It was a multidisciplinary master study
at the University of Twente.
The first one was Twente. The second one is Erasmus University.
Yeah, okay, Erasmus. Yeah.
Erasmus University. And then I joined as an auditor, the big four in the world at Ernst & Young, as an auditor. And there I got the accounting from the business school in the Netherlands, which is called Nairobi Business University. That is my journey.
And you were also writing on social media and on other media outlets as well, talking about your homeland, struggling, even living abroad. You got the guts of fighting, tyranny. And I observed that you do have followers over 37,000 or so, and I saw that, if I'm not mistaken, on your Facebook only. And why is that?
Look, I mean, like, since we were born, the way I told you, like, it's not, our life was not only about ourselves. It was not just improving my own personal life or my family's life. We lived not only for us, also for our community, for the cause, the Oromo cause. And that Oromo cause will never end in Oromia. It follows you wherever you are, wherever level you get, like your academic achievement, nationality, which is now I'm Dutch by nationality, but I'm still an Oromo. This is where I belong. And the pain, the suffering of my people, I would never forget that. I mean, like, I cannot just abandon them because I'm now living in the safest part of the world where I could do any study I want, where I could join the biggest company in the world and make good money. Because it was not only about myself. It is about my people here. That cause is still alive, and it is still alive.
God created the Dutch, and the Dutch created their country, the Netherlands.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And are you married?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You speak many languages, including Swahili, I think.
I do speak.
And how many languages do you speak?
I speak 5.
5. Amharic, English? Dutch and Swahili
Swahili.
or Kiswahili.
Swahili.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Kiswahili is like Swahili language. Ki is language.
The language.
Yeah.
Okay. The language of
Swahili.
Swahili.
The language of Swahili.
Yeah, it's the first language spoken by the majority in Africa. And Afan the third. Some recent data that I got.
Yeah.
What comment do you have on the current situation in Ethiopia? I mean, how can you see and what comments do you have on the changes that are happening in Ethiopia under the leadership of Dr. Abiy Ahmed?
You know, the changes is a great change. We've never expected, even if we have this team called Rabadori on OMN, the core team fighting from abroad. And I was part of it, luckily starting from the Badale campaign. Until now, I'm still part of it. Even if we were analyzing and following the situation, the development, the uprising, the protest, the killing, the torture, everything that was happening in this country, we didn't expect the change would happen at such a short period of time. It was kind of took us by surprise, and we're extremely happy. Today, there is a huge change. I mean, you cannot compare it. We never had this freedom. It is beyond actually my explanation. Given my journey, like my own personal life, my own journey, this is huge. The happiness I have today, you might not have because you're here and you're feeling the changes step by step, and probably, probably you kind of knew this was going to happen. But me being far away, it was kind of, to be honest, kind of big bang.
Last time when I met you in Frankfurt, you told me that in a normal program, I think, in an interview, that I came to appreciate the changes that Prime Minister Dr. Abiy is bringing to Ethiopia. He said, what do you mean by that?
By the way, I don't really attribute the whole change to Dr. Abiy Ahmed. I mean, he's a great leader. He's doing a great thing. The change that happened in this country is by the contribution of everybody.
The totality.
The totality. It's not just the last 4 years, the Oromo protest and the stuff. Since the inception of Oromo struggle, or since the fall down of the Oromo, as a nation when they conquered it. So the struggle was going on, and finally now we're here. Yes, Abiy Ahmed is the leader of the change right now. So it's not like he brought it, he is the leader of it. Everybody is contributing. He's doing so far great, but honestly, I have some reservation the way some things are happening. Ethiopia is a complex country with conflicting narrative history, and like when you're leading such kind of country with a lot of conflict in views, history, and narrative, and everything,
of course.
Exactly. The way you need to address is like you need to kind of take a center stage. You shouldn't be kind of like,
all the
leaning from one to the other. For example, the great Ethiopia, I don't know where Ethiopia has ever been great.
But can't you make it great?
You can in the future, yes. We need to fight for that new Ethiopia. The Ethiopia that includes everybody, regardless of your color, regardless of your complexion, religion, the language you speak, everything. That diverse Ethiopia, the new Ethiopia that accommodates everybody. Like everybody has to feel home. This is my home. Not only a particular culture, a particular religion, a particular linguistic group. No, that was the Ethiopia we had. And they were following this assimilation policy. Afan Oromo was not allowed. You cannot have a Oromo name and go to school. That is how my father actually refused to go to school. Because
it remained Gishe as it is.
Exactly. He didn't want to change his name and his religion. Like actually most of them by then, even until very recently, they were just Wakefata, the traditional Oromo religion. But it's still given the
Islam and Christianity invaded the environment. Let me say it out. If you don't say it, I say it.
I kind of like, I want to remain politically correct. So I don't want to hit that note.
Right.
But I mean, like, anything that imposed on them, they didn't want to accept it. That's why, and the Ethiopia we know didn't accept Oromo as Oromo. You had to change your identity, your language. You cannot speak of an Oromo and be still Ethiopian. You cannot an Oromo or Sidama or Gambela or, the Southern. Like, what culture do we see on the television show? Like, as Ethiopian culture, what food do we see on Ethiopian television as Ethiopian?
It should not be only on a particular side. It should be
inclusive. The Shrowood, the Rowwood, and the Skista. How about the 80?
Wakalimo, the Chafsa, and all things should be included. Whatever.
Exactly. So the Ethiopia we had is a disgraceful Ethiopia. I mean, to most of the nationalities in this country. Now we need to create that new Ethiopia where everybody feels home. This is my home. I belong here. I see myself in whatever is happening. I see my voice. I see my everything. That is Ethiopia. We need to rebuild, now build. Rebuilding is like something that was there and then destroyed and rebuilding. It was never there. Now let's build it together.
Of course, the Ethiopia they're saying was great, as I understand it. Actually, it's ethically, professionally, I'm not supposed to answer that. It includes the great civilizations, the Kushite civilization in Ethiopia, like the Aksum civilization, like the Lalibela, and this and that were all, of course, the Kushite civilizations they were, and including the Fascilators, the castle, where all the civilizations, probably those strength. Those warders are saying great, probably may create courage in the heart of Ethiopians by now. That's why they're saying, because I asked somebody that way, and this is the way I understand too. But what message do you have specifically for the Oromo by now?
The message I have for the Oromo, look, this is a great opportunity that we never had, regardless of the setbacks. Of course, transition has never been easy. It wouldn't be a kind of smooth ride to paradise, to the change that we imagine. Sometimes the way I want to follow and the way you want to follow, even if we are friends and we share a lot of things in common, the way you want to go and the way I want to go might differ. But for the sake of common goal, common purpose, we need to listen to one another. Now, Ethiopia is actually, the fate of this country, the fate of everybody in this country is in the hands of the Oromo. We need to rise up to that level. We need to rise up to that level and that expectation. The differences we have, whatever it is, and I don't see there is any difference based on political agenda or ideology and stuff among the Oromo political parties or groups and stuff. It doesn't exist unless we created something that does not exist. Except some kind of ego, my way or highway, we need to really put that aside, come together, do history. Let's show the world, the Ethiopian, the African, that Oromo can lead. That Oromo, we have that tradition of Gadat system, the system that was created, the democratic system, probably created before the Greek democracy.
Mm-hmm. If that sort is of the Greek, I always doubt that whether that democracy belongs to Africa or the Greek.
Exactly, and you never know. And we need to ask the historian, the archaeologist, to do the study and tell us actually who is the owner of that democracy. Sure. So where is the cradle of that democracy and the democratic system? And so now we need to prove to the world we are that people who accommodates everybody, who resolves conflicts, differences in a civil and civilized manner, not ending up in conflict for any trash and minor things. We need to come together, rise to the moment. It is in our hand, and we can do it. We can do it. Unless we mess it up. Let's come together. It's a great time. We can do it. Let's save Oromia. Actually, by the way, if this thing fails, it is not going to be disastrous for only the others. It's going to be disastrous for us as well. So for our own sake, let's come together, resolve our differences, put it aside. First, let's finish this project. Let's make this transition a real transition. Let's consolidate it. And then after, of course, there are a lot of things. I mean, I just told you, I'm not happy how the things are. I mean, but that doesn't mean that I have to pull down Abiy and then, I mean, that's nonsense. I will do anything in my power so that this change succeeds, so that Abiy succeeds, so that Lama succeeds. Everybody who's doing here succeeds. When they succeed, we succeed. When we succeed and we kind of overcome all the challenges, then we can start, okay, what else? You see?
The left gaps.
Exactly. What else? Now we can start answering those questions. First, this ship has to sail. It's not sailing now. It is about to sink. It is about to capsize. The danger is real. It is there. And the captain is Oromo. So if it capsizes,
it should not be Titanic.
That is my message to my people.
That's what you there.
Yeah.
And finally, the final thing you may say that I haven't talked about.
I don't know. Probably I've said what I wanted to say, and I mean, I dived into so many things. The very crucial thing is the way I just said: this ship has to float, not only float, has to sail.
And sail and dock and anchor.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, and it was really a pleasure.
Yeah, right.
Great.
Wow, this young man from the Netherlands, in fact, a friend of mine, before 18 years. And he told us about himself, the challenges he passed through. That is actually what most Oromo students suffered in universities in Ethiopia in those days. Today, we met after those many years. And I'm very happy that I heard his words about the reforms in Ethiopia under the leadership of Abiy Ahmed, and he told us to be a good captain as Oromos, because including myself, but as a journalist I have to say he said what he said. Thanks for watching. Have a good time. Bye-bye. And this Anadhufu program, I was with my guest, Ahmed Gishe, a friend of mine at the same time. I have to tell you that we were together some 18 years ago, and I got him after he came back from the Netherlands. He escaped the challenges and the severe, brutal situation in Ethiopia, but then, and I went through illegal routes to Europe and came back through legal ways to Ethiopia. And we talked about the changes that are being observed today in the country. And he wanted the Oromos specifically to properly sail that great ship, Ethiopia, to create the great Ethiopia. Thanks for watching. Have a good time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Have a good time. I enjoyed that interview with Ahmed Gishe, and I hope we'll talk about any other things next time as well. That's it.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it too.
Cool.
Telling my story.
Yeah.
Our story.
You should. to the program. I'm Anwar Khalil, and my guest today is Ahmed Gishe, a diaspora member, a man, a boy, because he's younger than me, with 3 master's degrees, and he's going to tell us about himself, and we're going to talk about the situation in the country, our home, after he came, and before also he was an activist there around, talking about his homeland. Anadhufu.
Anna, thank you for having me, Anwar.
Let's talk about your upbringing. In where were you born and how you grew up there?
I was born in Western RC, Wabe, very small town, and I did my elementary school, the primary school there at Wabe, and then I went to Dodola because we didn't have the high school at Wabe, and I think they have it now. So I did my high school study at Dodola High School, and then from Dodola High School I made it to AAU at this university. And then that is where I met you.
Sure.
And as a friend.
Some 15 years, 16 years back.
Actually 18 years ago.
18 years ago. It's very long
flies,
time.
Bro.
Almost 2 decades. So,
it is.
And then you left the country, and your destination became the Netherlands. And how that happened?
Yeah, as we all know, Oromo students, particularly by then, and it is still valid and it is still true. When you join the higher academic institutions, you don't only join for study, for education. And that was also our field of struggle, where we struggle for our freedom, right? We all know Oromo people used to be subjugated. And then still, actually, there are changes, but we're not yet there. So that struggle that we were doing, and I was dismissed from AAU twice. Once when I was still freshman student.
Then suspended.
We were all suspended, and
some 300 and
no. By then everybody was suspended. That was in 2000.
Yeah.
About more than 3,000
students.
And you're part of it. And then we came back after a year, and then I was teaching actually during that suspension period. I was teaching physics at Robe High School. I was teaching physics because they didn't have physics teacher. So when I went back home, I was not just sitting and waiting until I was readmitted to the university. So then I came back to the university, I think, in 2002. So the struggle continued, and by then it was the change of the Oromia regional capital city
from Finfine to Adama.
To Adama.
Yeah, we opposed that, and we talked about it.
Exactly, we opposed it, and then we were detained in Kolfe Police Training Center. We were just released after a day of a little bit beat up and stuff, just get at us of thing. And then in 2014, I remember in 2014, January 18, there was this cultural show that was staged by the government, and we opposed it, and that was actually connected to the still change of the capital city of Oromia regional state from Finfine to Adama.
Yeah.
And then 8 students were, after we effectively disrupted that cultural show, then 8 of our students were taken from dormitories. And by then, the beautiful thing is, like, when anybody is attacked, it's like every of us are attacked.
Almost students in all the faculties.
Exactly. Namakinet, something happened to it, then everybody reacts. Then we came to AAU from Sidiskilo campus, and we were asking the whereabouts of those 8 students. So like after first they say, okay, we'll let you know tomorrow, we don't know where they are, and then on Wednesday, it is the cultural show was on Sunday 18. Then we came to the university president office on Monday, and we asked their whereabouts, and they promised us to tell us where they are 1 or 2 days later. And then when we came, instead of knowing the whereabouts of our colleagues,
the police force were there.
Yeah, they were just there waiting for us, and they were surrounded, 350, actually more, surrounded and taken to Kolfe, were beaten up there for about 2-3 days, and then were released, and we heard on the news on TV that were dismissed. And then I was staying here in Finfinne and going around and doing a much Atulama was still active. Those 350 students, probably actually that was the official number. The number is more than 350. It's about 500 actually. That 350 is the number the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission,
confirm it.
yeah, could compile the list. So they were staying in Finfinne and Machatulama, and the Oromo residents in Finfinne were helping them out. I was also staying here, going around and waiting for our readmission. But in the meantime, there was uprising by students all over Oromia, high school and other universities, protesting the dismissal of the 350 and above students. And now the regime by then, they thought that we were organizing, and I was also part of the committee at Oromo Student Committee.
I think the central circle.
Exactly. So they were hunting us down, and almost everybody was caught. Then I thought, okay, if you stay around, you definitely end up in jail. But if you try to escape, you've got
the bullets.
Yeah, exactly. Either you escape, or you'll be detained, but at least you have got that slim chance of escaping. So I had to flee the country by truck.
Through Kenya?
Through Nairobi, Kenya, Moyale, and I was actually detained. I wish I could meet those police officers. I was detained at Moyale on my way to...
Ethiopian Moyale?
Yeah. While I was sitting, and we were two, our friend Nasru Hassan was there.
Okay, from geography department.
From geography department. We were flying together, and then Nasru a little bit like kind of local resident, given he was skilly.
He was tall and black, and this kind of the Borana Oromo style.
So they said, and there was a friend of us from Borana who was helping us cross the border. They told us, you, given with your complexion a little bit and the stuff, you don't really look like the locals. Stay somewhere. And so I was hiding somewhere, and then suddenly the police who were roaming on the street, they
caught you.
They spotted me from far, and then they came, and then they took me to the police station, and luckily they were Oromo. So one of them,
the Kenyan Oromos.
No, it was in Ethiopia.
Ethiopian police, the Oromo police members.
Yeah, and then I was asked, "You're a student fleeing the country, right?" I said, "No."
So he immediately identified that.
Exactly, and then they had the pictures and everything.
All right. The inner circle teams are pictures of the inner circle.
Exactly,
cuts.
Particularly where I think 32 something, the committees at Addis Ababa University's to Oromo Student Committee. So they had all of that. And like Bekama Yendo, who was in prison for 9 years.
Yeah.
Actually, Bekama was caught. I was with him 2 days ago. We had a meeting with Bekama, and after he left, then he was caught. Then I had to flee when I recovered that he was caught. And he served the prison for 9 years, tortured, beaten up. And so they had the picture. And I had an ID card that was...
The red one or the yellow?
No, the
other.
Addis Ababa
University?
No, Addis Ababa resident ID card.
Right.
Somebody arranged that for me. And
now you are safe a little bit.
Ethnicity instead of Oromo, because that was toxic by then. I had to put Grage.
I know you were telling me how those days were very severe and challenging for Oromo students and universities.
It was extremely challenging. Actually, like, the environment was not just challenging, it was
harsh. It was
so hostile, actually.
Yeah.
It was so hostile. It's like you're not welcome here. Talking of an Oromo by itself can end you up in trouble. You'll be identified. Like those who talk of an Oromo open and loud and stuff were the ones actually being targeted. By those who are leaving the security and the spy agents and those who are living in the university as a student, camouflaging themselves as a student. They identify you, and in the night, they harass you. And I was harassed several times. And it was an hostile environment. It was not an easy. But regardless of the environment, the challenge, the animosity, the hostility, the Oromo students were brave. They were ready to pay the ultimate price. Being beaten up and ending up in prison, it was fun actually. And even the day 350 of us were put in Colfe prison police training center, there are students who came after us, and we called them the volunteers. It was like everybody was standing up for their right.
Why not us?
Exactly. Like, you're attacked, I'm attacked. It's not like, oh, he's attacked, so it's not none of my business. Actually, it was a taboo not being part of any event that was organized by the Oromo student.
That way you skipped to Kenya. But before continuing to that trend, today you came back here to your homeland after those severe times and through ups and downs. What have you felt after this change?
Before actually I got here, the day I bought my ticket to Finfinne, I was looking at it. I mean, before that I was going around.
Am I really going back to my homeland?
I thought that was a mistake. I thought about that. I swear, and I mean it. I was like traveling around the world. I was even for vacation. I went back to Tanzania. I went to Australia. I went to the US, and all. Europe is where we lived, so you travel all over. But never to Ethiopia or Oromia. The day I bought that ticket, and I was looking at it, is it really happening? Am I dreaming? It was surreal. It was so hard to believe that I was actually flying to my country, the country I left, in such a tragic way. Getting here, I mean,
went through those illegal routes. You came back through legal way, right, to your homeland.
We left.
And I understand that you feel something different and odd. And after Kenya, where did you go?
Yeah, like I ended up the way I told you. Like, I wish I would see those police officers who caught me in Moyale. When I told them that I was not an Oromo, I was Gruage, and I even claimed that I didn't speak of an Oromo. And I was, because the ID card said that I was born in Finfinne, Kolfe. So Gruage, and I was going to Moyale to find out something that I would buy from there and bring it here and sell. That is what Gruages are known for.
Case, yeah.
So they said, oh, okay, let's go to the police station and talk about it. They took me there. So under the table, they were looking at the picture, but then my hair was a little bit grown. The picture they had was when I was still normal student with a short clip.
Short cut hair.
Exactly. So like, then they were talking in a panorama, and then I say, guys, look, yes, I'm exactly that guy. I'm an Oromo student. You know what I was fighting for? What I'm fighting for? I'm fighting for the right of the Oromo people, not my right. I'm a student at AAU, a prestigious university, a place where only few could get to, particularly by then. But now I'm fighting for all of us. That is why I'm under, and that's why I'm fleeing the country. So you want to send me back? And what would you get? You guys are an Oromo. And they looked at one another, and I told them I was born around Dodola, and one of them happened to be from Dodola area, and the other guy was from West Oromia, Wolaga. So they looked at one another and say, no, we're not going to hand over him. We'll help him to cross the border. Then I left, and it was a little bit funny as well. They say, we'll pay also the ultimate price with you. And I told them, I'm not alone. I'm with my brother. That is Nesru.
Nesru, yeah.
So, and when they found out that I was caught, Nesru and the other guy, they fled, they ran away. And I said, okay, now let's go to where we're staying. And I took someone with me to the house where we were staying, and I had to jump. The face had run away, and I had to shout at them, guys, come back, now it's safe.
It's cool.
It's cool. And finally they came and they helped us cross the border.